So I'm here with Alan McGrath, Isbell, intimacy coach, polarity coach, long-term meditator, Eastern philosopher, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I just basically had you recommended by another person I've done podcasts with, and I saw your page and I was instantly like, this guy knows what's up. And just briefly, what I saw on your page is speaking to something that I found to be really relevant for me, which is intimacy and vulnerability and the relationship between the two. And especially as men, how for me, it seems like vulnerability gets mistaken for weakness a lot of the time. And so I want to give you the floor to share what you do.
Sure.
And how you help people, specifically men or just people in relationships.
Yeah, I spent the first probably like 8 years of my career working with just men. And so that's kind of where my heart is. But over time, more and more women started coming to me or men wanting to work with their partner. And so for the last 5 or so, I've been working with both pretty exclusively. And what I help people to do is to really take their relationship and use it for their highest good. Like most people get into a relationship and just, like you were saying before, like, you know, you found all this wisdom and meditation and Zen centers and and then you got into a relationship and you felt like you were 12 again.
Lost everything.
Yeah, exactly. And so to me, relationships actually offer us the path, like that obstacle that arises within it is the path to freedom, to liberation.
Absolutely. As Marcus Aurelius said, the obstacle is the way.
Yeah.
And just to give some background about what I was telling Alan about was, so in my life earlier, I went on this big spiritual quest and went to India and spent some time at Zen centers. And it was like a couple years of my life where I really was by myself. And it was actually in a lot of ways what was called for at that point in my life. And focused a lot on meditation, was completely sober. And yeah, things really changed. And I was like, well, I think I figured it out. I think, wow, I can't believe we made it. And then I get back, I moved to Boulder. I was living in New Mexico, moved back to Colorado. And I get in this really passionate relationship like instantly. And it got so deep so fast, and all of a sudden I felt so frazzled and I was so scattered, and I was like just trying to like do my meditation, go to the gym, like and it, like all of these crazy things were coming up for me, all of these what I now see as insecurities, to be honest, with my partner. And I didn't know how to hold that. Because it's one thing when I'm alone and I'm sitting with, you know, these big things like, am I enough? Like, what happens when we die? Like, is life enough? Like, these are big questions that I think we have to sit with alone. But then when I came into that relationship dynamic, again, I felt like I was 12 years old. And I was like, somebody help me. Like, mommy, please help me. And I'm wondering what you have to say about an experience like that.
Well, there's a lot. I had a similar one. So I'll just tell a little story and then we can talk about it. So when I first met my first teacher, I went to one of his workshops. I had been looking for...
Who's his teacher?
His name was Zot Baraka. And I had been looking for around like 20. When I was about 20, I started to feel like if I was living in a different time and place, I would have received an initiation in my life, like from men. And I just felt that, I don't know, like that calling. And I was at this festival and Zot was putting on this workshop called the Men's Initiation Workshop. And I was like, all right, whatever that is, I'm going to that. I went, I was told, it rocked my world. Like I had never learned to express emotions through my body in that kind of way. I'd never seen other men expressing themselves in that kind of way, holding themselves with a level of depth and presence and freedom. And so I was like, all right, whatever this is, I'm in. And so I wanted to work with him one-on-one, but I ended up deciding to go to a Vipassana retreat. And when I was there, I was, sitting 10 hours a day, and I'm like 22 at this point, 21, 22. And that was the first thing I did when I got out of college, was like, go sit.
Same.
Yeah.
Went to India, one of the Zen centers.
Yeah. And so sitting there, I was like, bro, I could just sit. I don't need anything. I don't need help. I don't need therapy. I don't need coaching. I just need to sit a couple hours a day and I'm good.
Yeah.
And so I called him riding that, that Vipassana facelift high and told him as much. It was a lot of money. I didn't have that much money. And I was like, look, man, I really want to do this, but let's do it at another time. Let's do it when it's more convenient. Let's do it when I have more money, blah, blah, blah. And he said a couple things to me that stuck with me that I'm so grateful for. One, he said, if you don't do this now, you'll never do it.
It's a bold statement.
Yeah. He was right. He was right. Yeah. Like I might have pushed it off, but who knows? So I was 30, 35, you know, like when most guys do it. Most guys get into this kind of work when things start blowing up in their relationship. Once they've been married for 10 years and now they're just roommates and they're like, what? Or the wife wants to get a divorce or does get a divorce.
When tragedy strikes.
Yeah, exactly. That's when most men wake up, which is good. I'm glad that they do, but there's another,
gotta happen sometimes.
There's a conscious choice you could also make to do it. But the other thing that he said to me was that meditation is not enough. You could be enlightened and totally screwed when it comes in relationship. Yeah. Because they're different skills.
Exactly.
Now what I learned was that, like I said before, I started meditating at 15 and why, but at the same time, I also really struggled with women. Like I didn't know how to bring my authenticity. I didn't know how to bring my power in a way that they could really hold, that I felt comfortable bringing.
Right. What do I do right now?
And so what I found was that this sort of lineage that I sort of came up in was the blend of all those skills of meditation, like the deep truths that apply when you're sitting by yourself, but through two bodies rather than just one. Yeah. And so it was like, okay, like this is actually the thing that I can apply all my love for meditate, for sitting alone and being with those big things, but through the lens of two people rather than just myself.
And like you said, I mean, it's one thing to come to these really profound realizations. Like I can just sit for 2 hours a day and be good. And I will say there's some legitimate truth in that.
Oh, you should. I mean, if you got the time, you should do it.
Exactly.
You should still do
I tell people that like when you really rely on meditation, just sitting to cultivate calm, clarity, focus, acceptance, discipline, allowance, all of those things, bro, they ripple into your life in pretty profound ways. Yeah.
Especially for men.
Absolutely. And we can speak to that a little bit more. Actually, a previous guest was saying, more psychotherapy or IFS is more of the feminine kind of kick, and then just sitting. Yeah. That's that Shiva energy. You just want to sit in silence. Yeah. And for me, again, coming out of that period of intense meditation, like I was doing weekly or monthly silent retreats, sitting for like 3 to 4 hours a day at these Zen centers, just crying all the time. And like so much profound growth came out of that. But then again, being with another person, I had to look at myself in a different way. Yeah. And I had to look at my own insecurities, specifically with the feminine. Yeah. Because I come from a lot of trauma with the feminine earlier in my life. And it was so scary for me to express any flavor of vulnerability. Yeah. Because I was convinced, and this is not even conscious. This is like in my body. Yeah. The conscious knowing that if I express some vulnerability, she's going to see me a certain way. I'm not going to be this knight in shining armor anymore. And all of a sudden she's going to look elsewhere to get her needs met. And this was so deeply ingrained in me that actually I never told her until the relationship blew up and it turned completely toxic. But if only I had let that vulnerability out with her and given her the chance to hold me in that. I still think about that and I'm like, well, I took the L on that relationship. It is on me, because that vulnerability I couldn't express, that quote unquote weakness, which I actually wouldn't even call it. It's more tender parts of us. I couldn't express that to her. And because I couldn't, it just festered into like, oh, I know she doesn't like me. She's probably looking elsewhere. Like it's just not going to work out. And then I'm finding all the ways that this relationship isn't right for me. And it just blew up. And so in hindsight, I see that as an L. Like that's a life L. You know what I mean? Yeah. And now I really forced myself to learn from that. It was such a painful breakup. Like I feel like for 3 years, I was thinking about it. I was just like, what do I do? What went wrong here? And so I want to give you the floor in a moment, but I think a lot of that trauma for me also became just a product of my relationship with men, actually.
Yeah.
Where I didn't trust a lot of guys, which comes from other trauma, which I would be happy to speak about now.
Yeah.
Because it's, I think vulnerability and strength are actually much more synonymous than vulnerability and weakness, to be honest. And yeah, basically, I don't know. I got cheated on by a friend, cheated on, let's put it like this. I was seeing two girls, both of which ended up cheating with the same guy. My older brother was like verbally abusive to me in like, I mean, the whole time I was growing up. And those family dynamics, like you have no escape plan. You're just there. And I didn't even call it trauma until I was in this psychotherapy grad program. And so, I had all this distrust. Like, I'm going to get picked on. People are going to take advantage of me. And I can't show weakness. Got to keep the chest up. And so I want to give you the floor to speak about, I guess, how those experiences with men specifically maybe changed your relationship and how you were able to show up with women.
Yeah, well, I think it's true. Like, men need other men in order to be held in the way that they need to be held. Like, there are certain skills that you need to develop as a man if you're in relationship with a woman that will allow you to drop your guard, will allow you to kind of let her into those tender parts. But if you can't do that, rather, it is far less likely you'll be able to do that with her if you're not able to do that with other men. Yeah. Like, men are where there's a kind of like it's like a DNA. It's like an invisible substance that's passed between us that shows us like, okay, this is how it's okay to relate. Yeah. Evolutionarily, we would spend most of our time with men. Right? We would be in silence. We would be on mission. We would have a sort of a deep comfort with men, and it would have been passed to us from our fathers and our uncles, and we don't have that anymore. And so a lot of men try and find themselves through the eyes of women, which doesn't work out very well. Wow, it doesn't, because they're different creatures, and they will, because of that, oftentimes so many men have deep distrust with other men, so they look for themselves through women. But what they're doing, if we look at it one way, is like they're looking for themselves for stability through the feminine, and the feminine is changing. The feminine is always shifting and changing and transforming, and so there's no solid ground. There's no Shiva. There's no stability, and so that's what relating with men gives us. It gives us a sort of stability in who we are, a stability in our awareness, a stability in our consciousness that we can ideally like live within our body. And then we can go to women and be in a much better relationship because we're held so much differently. Yeah. I'm not looking for, I guess, quote unquote, the wrong thing. Basically, I'm not looking for a woman to hold me in the way that only, again, that masculine energy can. And again, I think that there's so many things that are coming up for me, which as far as like, this kind of homophobic culture, which is like, okay, connecting with a man does not mean sexually necessarily. Also, who gives a fuck? And secondarily, like, we need that. Like, and then I think about the nuclear family and how I grew up in the suburbs in upstate New York, and I didn't know any of my neighbors. None of them. And I was like, and I didn't know, like, I lived so far away from both my parents' side of the both of my parents' extended family. And so I was just there with my parents and my brothers. Yeah. And in those really difficult times in my childhood that now I look back and actually do call trauma. At that time, I didn't call it trauma because it was just the way that things were. I was like, if only I had like an uncle. Yeah. Or my brother had an uncle who was bullying me. Just a good masculine figure, or maybe even something like organized religion. I grew up, both my parents are MDs, so they were very, I would say, agnostic. So we didn't have any formal religion. And with that came any sense of real community. We were just isolated. And I think that fucked up my mom, that fucked up my brother, my dad in certain ways. And I think it reminds me of this phrase where it really takes a village to raise a family. And yet we're conditioned to not, I don't know, what is it? We don't reach out. We don't ask for help. We don't have like real intimate, and again, not sexual, but intimate connections with our neighbors. Well, to me, it comes back to not being initiated. Like I went and did a vision fast a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago. And when I was preparing for it, I realized that I was probably the first man in 7, 8, I don't know, maybe 10 generations to actually receive a proper initiation, not like a hazing, not like a pseudo initiation, like, you know, being able to drink, but like real nature-based initiation.
Can I ask what that word means to you, initiation?
Yeah. So an initiation so women are or girls are initiated into womanhood by their biology, right? So it's very clear. There's other nature-based initiations or community-based initiations for girls as well, but their body initiates them. It says, like, it marks a time, like, you are no longer a girl, you are a woman, right? When they bleed. Boys don't have that biological initiation. So what was traditionally done was the community would have certain rites of passages. They would have certain rituals that they would do that would sort of enact that passageway from boyhood to manhood. It was very clear, and it was very necessary because we didn't have that natural initiation. We didn't have that natural, like, okay, you are now not who you were. You are no longer a child. You are now a part of the adulthood. Like, you're a part of the adult community. And without that, we get guys in their 50s acting like they're 15 because their psychology was never matured, right? In initiation, you typically face some kind of extreme challenge, right? Where you have to rely on something greater than yourself. So most guys are just relying on themselves, which is not a good strategy. For most of their lives, because they've never had to face death in a proper way, in a way that's sacred, a way that's ritualized, a way that's held by other men. And without that, all kinds of bad things happen. I mean, you can look to our culture to see what happens when men are not initiated by other men. Like we most of the time we get infatuated by the feminine. We look for sustenance in women, in porn, in drugs, we're trying to find stability in the feminine because we never found it through the masculine bonds of our upbringing, of the men around us, within ourselves. And actually, I was thinking when you were talking, we both, I think, looked to meditation for that.
And it works pretty well.
And it works fairly well. But again, it's limited because we're practicing monkhood amidst being in a relationship. You know, I remember one time my friend told me, he's like, I really have to remind myself that I'm not a monk. Like, I can't pretend that I'm a monk. Like, you're right. I can't either.
It's not me.
There's a reason those traditions have men leave the world, leave money, leave women, leave relationship, like, so that they can just get as pure and clean and undistracted as possible. And if you try and do that within the world without, like, in a not in a conscious way, and more like kind of a fascist, like rejecting everything, trying to make everything the way you want it kind of way, it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work. And that brings me to this topic. Well, actually, first, I want to talk a little bit more about this initiation process. So for me, what really changed my life was these series of, I guess, experiences. First was going into the backcountry with solo or with friends for like 4 or 5 days. And that shit changed me. Because it's like, I just didn't, understand what it was like to be away from society for that long. And the mind changes. Just with a different setting. And you're relying on yourself. You know, and just, it's kind of like a meditation retreat where it's just, you're walking up mountains, down mountains, you're setting up camp. Not shit is really going on. And you're forced to just be with yourself and let whatever comes up, come up. And so that was really transformative. And then it was the 2 years I traveled after undergrad in India and then at farms and Zen centers and kind of all over the United States, right during COVID, actually. And that period really changed me too. I came to this really radical sense of like personal power, actually. It's like, oh, it's not out there. It's not out there. Other people's opinions can't touch you in the same way when you have that. The opinions of the world, what is success, what is success, what is failure, those are arbitrary when you really spend enough time with yourself to kind of really purify the mind. So those felt like initiations to me. But I haven't had I played football in high school. It didn't really feel like an initiation though.
Yes, no, we do sort of receive these natural ones because our psychology yearns for it. So we'll like gangs will create initiations.
Totally. Frats
will create initiations. Sports will create initiations, but they're not like soul based, right?
Yeah.
They're not soul based, and that's the difference. So we'll get these initiations naturally, or we'll create them. We'll go out to the mountains with friends. Like that's a beautiful kind of version of it, but it doesn't have, what a proper initiation has is it has some kind of tradition. Yeah. It has some kind of relationship with, like men who are older than you or who have also gone through the initiation. It ideally connects you with something deeper than yourself. Like there's a spirituality to it. There's a soulfulness to it.
Totally. And I think what I was able to get specifically from time in the mountains, and let's just say at that point in my life, it was not sober. It was high doses of mushrooms and LSD. Yeah. Great times for the most part. Definitely some sketchy times at the same time. But what I felt was it connected me to something bigger than myself in the form of like spirit. Yeah. What that meant to me at that time. Yeah. And that's obviously grown and evolved. But I think what I've been missing actually is that deep connection with men. I mean, I felt it sort of maybe when I was doing construction for a couple of years and just like, little residential construction projects, you're on a team. You're all getting this shit done together. And it does bring that kind of camaraderie. And it is difficult when you're out there and it's 10 degrees out and you're working for weeks. Yeah. It's fucked.
Yeah. That's the other piece that a good initiation will have is a challenge that could mean death.
And this is where I think a lot of soul initiation, which is what the deepest parts of us crave, especially when we're tapping into depth psychology and using soul in the way that they used it. Like the deepest parts of our being are craving that adversity, craving that connection. And it makes me think that actually, what if violent conflict, war, is just the most optimal way to be initiated? Yeah, you very well may die. Lots of people are going to. Yeah. But there's something in that.
100%.
Bigger than yourself.
Well, particularly for the masculine. Yes. So like the masculine part of us, it craves freedom and nothingness. And so death puts us right on that edge of like, are we going to die and go into nothingness? Or are we going to sort of overcome the challenge and emerge with freedom? Totally. Right. And so that's a good part of any initiation is that there's a real possibility for our masculine initiation. Like men need to face death. And ideally in that facing of it, you see that you can't force your way through it. You can't struggle past it. You have to surrender to something greater than yourself. And that's where your true strength is.
And a couple of things are coming up for me hearing you say that. First is this notion of death and how it relates to the death of the ego, and how we can also look to like psychedelic ceremonies as actually being able to put yourself in those death type scenarios. You eat 7 grams of mushrooms with a bunch of dudes who are all doing the same thing. Y'all are going to be different after that. Yeah. This is going to be like this ego death, the shedding of the skin. But also I was thinking, I've thought this at random points for years in my life, how there's a part of me that craves that image of a good death, some Valhalla worthy type shit, where it's like, I would love to be able to lay down my life physically, spiritually, emotionally, dedicate myself to something for the people that I love. And how I actually like, I can't wait to find that thing. And for me, I think I'm doing it with my life right now, cultivating deep purpose and meaningfulness, living this mythopoetic experience and paving that trail for myself and being able to, again, in deeper and deeper ways, sacrifice everything that I am for the people that I love. Yeah. And I think I saw one of your videos that I really loved, which was on purpose and how the lack of purpose, specifically in men, leads to addiction of all kinds. And I want to hear you speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, ideally these kinds of initiations put you in touch with, I mean, that's what they were meant to be, is like you go and find out who you really are, right? That's what a vision quest was meant for. You like receive a vision, you tell your story, and then the tribe would help you interpret it to say, okay, like this is what you're here for. and you dedicate yourself to that, right? You've let go of your childish, literally like your connection to your mother, your childish patterns to devote yourself to this purpose. Without that, again, we will look to the feminine to find fulfillment.
And when you say the feminine,
so to me, the feminine is, so if from a Buddhist perspective, like when you're sitting in meditation, you're like in Vipassana, you're noticing all the sensations of your body, right? And what do you notice about them? You notice that they change. They're impermanent. They never stay the same. No itch lasts forever. No pain is there always. And so you don't get attached to those things. You just observe them, right? As they are. So the sensations, in my jargon, we call the feminine. They are Shakti. They're life force.
Would you call that the world of form?
All form.
Yes.
Anything that you can sense, see, taste, touch, like that's all the feminine, just showing it through the body.
It's all coming and going.
Yes. It's nothing here that we can see will be here in 1,000 years.
Even the mountains will turn to dust.
Exactly.
And be reformed at some point.
So all of that it's changing. And so that is take it or leave it. It's just the way I like to work with it and how my teachers have worked with it.
Like it.
We can see that as the feminine, and it's beautiful. It's radiant. It's alive. It's light itself, right? Like it is light. The masculine is the consciousness that is aware of that light. It's the awareness that wraps all things, that can have us be aware that these things exist, that can feel our sensations and not grasp or push them away, right? Can just observe them as they are. And for most men, we feel more at home in the masculine. Like it feels more like even just talking about it, you and I are both like settling down, right? Like there's a hominess to it. Whereas a really feminine woman, she would much rather be she is more identified with that light aspect of consciousness. They're really the same thing. Like there's no separating them. But when it comes to relationship and polarity, you can start to identify the differences and then use them to make a better art, to make better love, to make a better existence out of your life and out of your relationships. Because if I were to tell my partner, like, you know, it's date night, let's sit for an hour in silence with our eyes closed.
Worst date ever.
Exactly. I might be in bliss. But
right.
and she might enjoy it, you know, every now and again, but knowing my woman, probably not. She would spend about 4 minutes like that. And then she would be on top of me or tickling me or, you know, trying to bring me back to life, to Shakti, to the feminine. So because she's more identified with that, she feels more at home with movement, with flow. And so, when you start to recognize those things, there's a yoga to bringing consciousness through your body to like masculinity is something you can actually be, not just something that you have or you do. And same thing with the feminine, like it's something that you can practice, you can accentuate. And the thing is that most of our culture, most men have overly feminized themselves and most women have overly masculinized themselves.
Say that again. Most men have overly feminized themselves. What do you mean when you say that? 'Cause I could see some dudes. There's definitely this huge kick of at least very feminine guys today, very polarized in interesting ways. And then we have the hyper masculine guys that are so cut off from their emotions that nothing can get through to them.
Well, it's generally speaking like back in the late 50s, early 60s, 70s, like we started to see before that. Men were hyper masculine. Like think about the macho, you know, tough guy who earned all the money and blah, 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 made all the rules. And women were hyper feminine. Like they cooked, they cleaned, they took care of the kids. Like they were more in that nurturing quality. And then there was a kind of a limitation to that. Like men, if they were left alone with a baby, they wouldn't know what the hell to do, right?
I'm kind of in that boat. I'm like, yo, what do I do with this thing? Do I put him down? Does he want to be up here? Like,
so there was a growth that needed to happen, and so that's what occurred in like the women's liberation movement. Women started to grow into their masculine. They started to like get jobs and make money, and they started to actually be better men than men. And men, for good reason, needed to get in touch with their feminine. They grew their hair, they did drugs, they played music, they drummed in the woods, right? There was they needed to get in touch. They were like, oh, I have feelings. Like they needed to do that.
Cool.
So there was a growth that occurred, but we've kind of, we're in the, I don't know, our culturally, we're in a strange middle ground where we're like finding out what it means to be a modern man and a modern woman with all the, the baggage that we've received from our culture. And so a lot of guys who are like, at least the guys that are interested in some kind of personal development work, I would say there's a lot more sort of genres of men out there.
Totally.
But the guys who are at least drawn to whether it's meditation or personal growth work or therapy or things like that, they typically, again, I think because they use these things they didn't receive initiation. So they use these things to find some kind of home or some kind of security. But it's a feminine thing. It's changing. It's the outside world. It's not who they are at their core. So there's an over feminization. One way to say it is like most guys live either from like here up, meaning their heart up, or just in their head. Whereas like the 50s guys were basically like all balls, right? Just like,
for sure,
give me what I want when I want.
Let's take it back to the ball age.
Well, so the way that I see it is that the modern man, like the integrated man, has his balls, his heart, and his mind all online at any moment.
Yes.
And that's the goal. That's the practice.
Exactly. And so this brings me to the title of this podcast, which is Spiritual Fuckboy. And obviously,
let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So the title is obviously in part tongue-in-cheek, but it's also in part something that I think is really necessary to teach through example, actually, which is integrating, well, multiple things. One is integrating sexuality into spirituality, where it seems like a lot of the time it can either be over accentuated and still somewhat disconnected from soul and disconnected from the depths of our being. And then it can be completely disregarded. And people have this imaginal image of the monk, the saint, and they don't fuck. They don't even beat off. They don't even get hard. It's like, is that realistic? Like, let's be honest. And then another part of the name Spiritual Fuckboy is to understand, where do we draw the line between the sacred and the profane? Where do we say, oh, fuck boy, that can't be a face of God. There's no way. And it's like, well, who made that distinction? Was it objectively there? Or did our mind create this illusion of sacred and profane? So I made the name because I am, for better or worse, pretty confident in kind of what I'm teaching. So I feel that I can still teach at a high level and I can still have this name, which I think in spiritual context, Spiritual Fuckboy is funny. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek. You're like, what? And then it kind of cuts the tension of spiritual topics sometimes. Like, it's almost like we need a little bit of humor to make it sink, or else it can be a little like tense and like, I don't know, or just like throw people off. So that's where the name came from. And it's just a hilarious story with one of my lady friends, Mars. Shout out, Mars. But she had this crazy story and she was like, I told her, I was thinking of naming the podcast Spiritual Fuckboy, just as a joke. And she was like, no, you have to do that. It was going to be the Duff Daddy experience, like kind of poking fun at the Joe Rogan experience. And so that was going to be the name. But she's like, I'm not telling this story unless you change your podcast title to Spiritual Fuckboy. And I was like, honestly, it kind of fits. Like, my whole attitude and my personal life is, I will safely say that I don't feel like a fuckboy. I feel like in integrity, I feel like I'm holding the people that I care about. And something I would like to talk to you is the topic of like monogamy and polyamory. Because like basically my whole life, I used to like, talk shit is a hyperbole, but I'd just be like, I didn't get the polyamory. I was like, I just want one person. And then just recently in my life, different dynamics have come up and I'm like, wait, I feel like I love more than one person at once. And it just happened organically, where obviously there are different flavors of love, different depths, different things open for different people at different times in different styles of relationship. So coming to that and understanding that the work you do is to really maximize that intimacy, not just sexually. And I've gotten feedback, and I really do agree with this. I'm not holding one side or the other. I'm trying to figure this shit out. So I'm like, what are the pros and cons in your mind of a monogamous style of relating versus a more polyamorous style of relating?
So I think, first of all, I think that people should, there should be some kind of like test that would include succeeding very strongly at monogamy before you can graduate to polyamory.
I like that, bro. Say more.
I think that would, well, so like let's just speak for a man.
Yeah.
If you can't hold one woman well,
yeah,
what makes you think you're going to be able to hold two?
Good luck.
Exactly. And so I think that polyamory is very enticing, particularly for men, because biologically that suits us. Like it suits us much better. Our biological need is to have sex with as many, childbearing beings as possible.
And it is safer. I want, it's like diversify the portfolio and, it feels true. More secure.
There's less of a sacrifice.
Yeah.
And sacrifice is a big part of the spiritual journey, in my opinion. Like it is what it's all about. Like how much you're willing to sacrifice will determine how much fruits you get. It's not so much about the fruit, but there is a corollary to those things. And I think polyamory is a very easy way to bypass, like get have your cake and eat it too, but not in a way that leaves everybody satisfied. I've yet to see anybody in a polyamorous relationship where I'm like, I really want that. Yeah. Like I want the soul that you have. I want your experience of life ongoingly. Like women need us to, this is called spiritual fuckboy, so I'm just going to say what I want. Please. They need us to like love them completely. They need us to fuck them completely. They need us to claim them completely. Yes. And you can't do that if you're choosing another woman as well.
So true.
You just, you can't. Most men do not have that capacity.
So in my experience, and I'm still trying to figure this out, it felt like I could claim somebody completely, but for like a weekend.
Exactly. You know what I mean? You could do it for a weekend. Anybody could do anything.
Anyone can do it for a weekend, bro. And that's where it's like, if I'm going to do it for more than that, that's where it gets scary for me, bro. And it's like, it's not even in my mind, like in the realm of thoughts. Yeah. It's like something in me, like when I start to deepen into relationship, shifts. And all of a sudden, all I see is all the flaws with this person. I'm like, it's not going to work out.
Which is what polyamory is so beautiful for, is like, this one's not really feeling, I'm not feeling it today. I'm not feeling it this weekend. Oh, go over here. Right. And so it allows us to, a part of what a relationship does, a monogamous relationship, I mean, polyamory does it too, but it doesn't feel like a powerful container, in my opinion. People can do whatever they want.
I think you're right.
If it's liberating them and serving everybody around them, everybody around them is also being served, not just themselves. Okay, fine. But like you need, in order to face, for example, let's bring meditation into it. If we're going to sit and observe the sensation that's arising in us, we need a strong posture. Yeah. Like if we're kind of lackadaisical, leaning back, like you're fucked. You're going to fall asleep. Yeah. Like your mind's going to want it. You need a strong container, which is your body in that sense. That to me, you need a strong container in relationship to work through all of your fears, all of your attachments, all of your wounding. If it's not a strong container, particularly for a man, when it gets hard, he'll just look elsewhere. Yeah. And men, even in monogamous relationships, do this. They'll look for somebody walking down the street, like, oh, she's hot. It'd be nice to, and that's our biology. It's not like monkeys do that. Right. It's not all that evolved.
It's monkey mind. It's looking all over the place.
Exactly. It's not all that evolved. Yeah. Yeah. And to me, monogamy provides. Now, look again. With your own aesthetic, it's your own, like your own relational aesthetic, however that wants to be, as long as it serves you and everybody else and it's clean. Yeah, clean. I like clean is not the word that I would describe any polyamorous relationship that I know of. it's possible to have a deep relationship and have experiences with other people that serve you and serve them. It's totally possible. But I just don't think that most people have the relational skills and the relational capacity, particularly men. Women, a little bit more so perhaps, because they're just more skilled relationally. Yeah. They're just naturally more relational. I just don't see it actually serving people.
Totally. And so I still have this part of me that holds out for this, I will say image, because that's what it is for me, of like finding that partner and we're just good for life. And obviously what that means is, you know, not the things that are pleasant for life, but that there's that deepening trust and intimacy in that container where I can just fall into them. Yeah. And they can fall into me. Yeah. And I have that knowing because I've been there before in my life. Mm-hmm. But at this point, it's like there's been so much like, I mean, I hate like trauma wounding. I hate like using those words because I feel like it's like sometimes like a little too victim-y for me. But it's like there's this like feeling in my body that I cannot avoid. Yeah. Which is something is just like, hey, this isn't safe. Yeah. Get out of here.
So what I do is I help people with, in those moments, how to use your body, your breath, your awareness to not allow the impulse, which is usually to get out of there, to flee, to fight, to shut down, but actually use that thing that is in your body, that's in all of our bodies, to actually use it as a source of connection, a source of intimacy, a source of like letting somebody into who you are.
What if that source of intimacy is me saying, I just don't think this is going to work. Or, you know, I don't think that you're going to be it for me. I don't know. Like,
but so that's way down the line.
Yeah.
To me, when that happens, you've missed like 10,000 other opportunities.
Of being able to regulate that dysregulation.
To bring up whatever it is that they're doing that is triggering something in you, or to you know, there's a million things that could have happened before that would have allowed you to say, to not just, again, it's like react to the itch in the shoulder.
Totally.
Like, just like, oh, they do that thing, I don't like that. Totally. Like, and then avoid it, or avoid them, or resent them. Instead, like, embrace it as it is, which doesn't mean avoid, like you're with it. You communicate about it. You love it, and loving it is active. It's a participating, love is a participative sport. It's not like an observer. It's not
a verb.
Yeah, it's a verb. Exactly.
And I hear that. And what's coming up for me is like this question of, how do I know who the right person is? Because when I'm in a relationship for like a few months, everything in me is questioning it. And I'm like, is this just naturally like me coming to like the honeymoon phase has ended and I'm just seeing this person clearly and I'm like, I just don't see the compatibility? Or is it just this wounding, this avoidant attachment style, which says, hey, this isn't safe because you know what? It's pretty dope. And you know what happens when things get pretty good?
They leave
and it hurts.
Yeah, exactly.
So pull back. So, and the thing is, I wish I knew what the fuck was going on in my mind, because I can't tell what's the difference.
Yeah.
Because it's like my perception shifts.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to trust.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, and it's frustrating as fuck, because I'll tell because I'm all about radical authenticity in relationships, integrity. I will not keep any of that deceit in my heart. I've done it earlier in my life and I'm done with it. So at this point, I'm so honest with them, and I'm trying to be honest and describe what's going on for me, where I'm like, I don't know if this is the avoidant attachment. I'm pulling back. Like, part of me wants to lean into you. And I've been able to do that with girls when I have been radically honest with them. And then a part of me is like, and then I'll tell them, I just don't know if this is going to work. And it doesn't feel fair to them.
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
It's not a good idea. So, but what do I do?
You take it to men.
Fuck yeah. Dude, that's actually so fucking true.
You take it to men.
Yeah.
And ideally men who know you, they know your patterns, they know what comes up for you at month 3 of a relationship. And they go like, bro, this is your shit. Like, let's work through it. Let's bring it to the circle. Bring, like, right now, like, they work with it, or they they give you feedback, so that you don't, like, radical honesty in relationship is not that good of an idea. It is on one level.
Feels good energetically for me.
Yeah, it's very, but it's actually very selfish in a way.
It is.
In my perspective.
It's my energetic,
Exactly.
like purity, cleanliness, whatever.
And it's like, how is that actually affecting her heart?
Yeah.
Is that really serving her to know that you're
Yeah.
doubting this or looking at that and da da da?
That's what the Buddha said. The Buddha talks about basically honesty and speaking with your truth, but only if it doesn't have a negative impact on other people.
Exactly.
Otherwise, keep it to yourself.
Exactly.
And that's what the Buddha taught.
Yeah, which is, so keep it to yourself and bring it to men, right? So that you can reveal all of that stuff. You can fall apart. You can bring all your shit and they can hold you. And then when men experience that, there is a recharge that occurs and a clarity that will occur that they can then bring back to their woman. And either like my friend Brian Reeves he wrote a book called Choose Her Every Day or Leave Her. And that's what we should be doing.
Yeah.
If you're not choosing her, you shouldn't be with her because you're weakening both of your power. You're weakening both of your spirits.
By not having that strong flow of connection.
Yeah. You're weakening yourself by saying yes to something that you're not really a yes to. And she's saying yes to a man who's not really saying yes to her. And it doesn't serve anybody.
How do you do that when relationships get fucked? I mean, fucked is a strong statement. Well, difficult. Let's say that.
Yeah. Well, again, so relationships get difficult over 10,000 small things.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
And so it's like, how are you addressing that first one and the second one and the third one? And usually most people don't address things till they're in the level of fucked.
Yeah.
Right. They're like,
sure.
I can't do this. Or I got it.
I'll look the other way.
And that's when people usually come to me. And now they've established, a year, 10 years, 20 years of shitty patterns together, behaviors that feed into things that neither person really want or like. They've become roommates. They don't communicate well. They don't know that how they're holding their body is doing this thing to their partner. Like and it's not really anybody's fault. Let's just say that, nobody gave us a book on how to actually relate well. So when things get difficult, ideally what you do is just to give you like a prescription, you would set up some kind of plan to go like, okay, here's what we're going to do to address this. We're going to hire this person. We're going to do this. We're going to read this book. We're going to set up this kind of structure in our life. Like we're going to have a relational check-in every 2 days for an hour. Like we're going to set up some kind of structure for a certain period of time. Okay. And within that time frame, we're going to give it all we got. Okay, so we're going to do everything we can to heal, to fix, to shift our shitty patterns and behaviors so that we can love the way we want to love. And if we do that within this period of time, we get to the end of it and we're both still like, you know what? Like we gave it our all, we did our best, and yet we still feel the same. Like it would actually serve both of us more to just kind of bow and exit. Then you've done it to the best of your ability. Most people, again, they're just reacting. They're letting their monkey mind, their biology, their karma get the best of them. And so they just leave the relationship the moment that something gets hard. The better thing to do is have structure and clarity and a kind of commitment to, okay, we're going to love each other in this way. And if it doesn't work, okay, at least we gave it our all. The shitty thing that you were describing in your early on when we started of like, I took that L in a relationship. It's because you didn't give it your all.
Yeah. I was being a little bitch.
Exactly. Exactly. And so many people leave relationships like that. Like they just sunken hearted. They know they did not give it their all. And it's a shitty feeling.
It's a feeling I will never have again.
Yeah.
I will say that with confidence.
Yeah.
I would rather just bring up difficult conversations and have that and come to that point of clarity.
Yeah.
Let the emotional charge dissipate. Just let it out. Let it out. And we'll keep coming back, keep connecting. It gives me an image of like boxing, you get just hit in the face and like just emotional outbursts. Yeah. And you still you don't run away.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please.
Do you find that women have a hard time holding your emotional your emotions, like your emotional life?
I would say, let's put it this way. Currently, no.
Okay.
Currently, no. Because I feel like I am Duff, me. Like basically 100% of the time. So like when I'm with girls, especially, like I'll talk about my exes, I'll talk about, you know, the things that scare me, my hopes, my dreams, and I feel really comfortable about it. Again, that vulnerability now feels like a source of strength for me.
Yeah.
And to find that girls can hold it, at least most of them.
Yeah.
Some of them, you know, obviously get a little, you know, how do I put it? Nervous isn't really the right word. Just it can be intense, you know?
Yeah.
And I think earlier in my life, I did not find that, you know, just with the relationship, maybe with my mom. And I love my mom now. But again, because there's no blame here. From the Buddhist lens of like, who am I blaming? Is it my mom or her parents that parented her or the culture that they grew up in? Like, where am I pointing the finger?
Yeah.
So it's not even like that. It's just like I didn't get, I think, that feminine figure to hold me completely in my emotions, you know? And it would, you know, come to the point, and I love my mom, where like I would just be in my angsty teen phase. I would just be smoking the bong out in the backyard, and she would just come out and like yell at me and like slap me in front of my friends. And honestly, I fucking deserved it. I'm not gonna lie. But like now I'm curious, maybe that angsty teen phase was maybe that expression of the feminine in some weird kind of way.
Yeah. Well, you what you probably craved was like deep, conscious, masculine guidance.
And you know what the thing is? My dad, I love my dad too. We have a great relationship, but he was not there.
Yeah.
He was MD, resident professor, starting his own company, working like 16 hours a day at least. So I like didn't really see him.
And that's the case for all of us. And so there's not even in our awareness the existence of that thing I just described of deep masculine guidance. It doesn't exist for us because our dads are gone. And so what do? We look to what's present, which is the feminine.
Damn.
We look to the bong. We look to our friends.
The bong hits, but it's not going to work long term. That's a lesson that kids will learn eventually too.
Yeah.
It's like the drugs, the bong. I mean, that's just a great example, given that it is such a, you know, feminine plant, as people say.
Yeah.
But you can't lean on it like you could, like the stability of men and the masculine. And I want to maybe fill that out a little bit more when we talk about the masculine experientially. What are we pointing towards? Because you talk about consciousness, and I think I have a grasp a little bit about what you're talking about, sort of that. So if the feminine is the world of form, and thus everything that could be in one sense, the masculine is actually the container that holds that.
Yeah.
You can't have the world of form if there isn't the space in a sense to hold it.
Yeah. And so that container is awareness. It's the part of us that is aware of those 10,000 things. Yeah. Right. And that manifests in certain ways. So, cool. So like consciousness or awareness manifests as it manifests as stillness. It manifests as a kind of presence. And that's what's sexy about a man. Like if you ask a woman what's sexy about a man, it's like his presence. Like he walks into the room and you could just feel his depth of being. That's his connection to awareness. That's his connection to something that is greater and deeper than the 10,000 forms that are changing around him.
Right.
So like, for example, if in this moment I was attending to the itch in my knee more than I was attending to my awareness, it'd be diminished to the itch in my knee. And I would be about as big as the itch in my knee. Interesting. Right.
And that itch in your knee would take up all the space in your mind. And obviously that's what's real to you.
Exactly.
Instead of having that wider gaze. And it's interesting. Shout out meditation. Also that stability, that awareness.
Yeah.
And again, I want to point to the fact that skill, the cultivation of the masculine through that development of just understanding awareness, becoming intimate with what awareness is. And it's so ubiquitous and always here. It's hard to know what we're talking about at first.
Yeah.
That's where we have to slow down the mind.
Totally.
And again, guys, that will make you more of a presence when you walk in the room. And I think that's a fact, man. I got so much confidence in myself and just a certain energy when I could really become intimate and infused with that awareness, with that groundedness. And again, that was step one. And then introduce the chaos of the feminine. And I'm like completely spun.
So the thing that you get to the practice of it is to start to learn how to hold yourself, hold your awareness, hold your breath, so your three tools in any moment, if you want to like get into embodiment, like masculine embodiment practice, is your awareness. Like, where is your awareness? What are you aware of? Your body and your breath. And so those are the things that in any moment, if you were to become aware of, create the opportunity for more of what we might call like masculine presence, masculine energy. That's how it feels to us. But to women, it feels like safety. It feels like love. It feels like, for men, to another man, it feels like trust. Yeah. Like if I was over here, like looking around really fast and like scratching myself and like doing all kinds of things, sitting all kinds of ways, like you wouldn't feel very comfortable with me, probably. Right. This guy's a wild card. Yeah, exactly. You'd be like, I don't trust him with anything. Right. And that's so masculine presence with other men creates trust. Totally. It's like, okay, my consciousness can trust his consciousness. To a woman, consciousness feels like safety, feels like love. And so when a man can start to go, okay, I have to go into this emotional conversation with my woman this evening, rather than identifying with the part of me that's nervous or scared or like has a bunch to say, I'm actually going to have the intention to just be aware of my breath, be as still as I can be in my body, and just be aware of the space between her and I. How about that? Just between her and I. I'm just going to feel that space. That's all I'm going to attend to. Yeah. And then I'm going to ask her what she has to share. And then she's going to share. And I'm not going to like think about what she's saying or try and think about what to say as I respond. I'm just going to be aware of my breath, sit in stillness, and feel that space between us. That's so powerful. You will watch what occurs. There's a physics that occur that when a man is able to hold that kind of depth or presence or awareness, whatever you want to call it, his woman will start to, the feminine will start to open, soften, relax. Because one way to say it is that he is now holding the masculine pole. So one side of the pole, everything has we live in a dualistic world, right? So if he's holding one pole, she now doesn't have to. She can relax that part of her that would hold a more masculine presence, one that is like structured, guarded, guiding, holding. Instead, she can go do the opposite, which would be to soften, to surrender, to relax. To relax into that naturally probably more polarized state, which is that emotional expression of the feminine. Yeah. To let her say her truth and not have to hold on to, how do I look right now? Is he going to think I'm crazy? Yeah, exactly. And again, and I think you spoke to such a dramatically useful practice, which is focusing on space. Yeah. And I think I just want to spend some time with that, because naturally, like the example that you used was, I'm gonna have a emotionally charged conversation with my lady. And if we do that, it's so easy to fixate and focus on, the charge in my chest. Maybe I'm angry. I got this heat in my hands. Maybe I want to yell. It's so easy to fixate on those things because they're, it's an intense feeling. But actually, you can instead put your awareness on that space. And it's interesting. Your awareness is constantly feeding experiences. So when you focus on that spaciousness, that tends to grow in your experience at the level of your perception. Totally. If I focus on that tension in my chest, or the fact that the lump in my throat that's gonna make me cry or whatever, that's obviously not wrong. But what if we can shift our awareness and start to feed the space, feed the masculine, not feed those more not feminized, but feminine emotional experiences, and let them express. Yeah. So here, a couple caveats. One is that we all have those things in us. Like we have those emotional experiences in us, which is why it's so important to be held by other men. Right. So that they can hold you. You can let go into, whatever you want to call it, a more feminine experience. Yeah. Letting yourself cry, letting that tension in your chest be released through sounds. Not bad. No, it's necessary. We have to do that. Yeah. And one way to say it is that that is us getting comfortable with our own feminine. Yeah. If we are uncomfortable with our own, one way to look at it is that however you treat your woman is how you're treating your own internal feminine. Yeah. So if you don't like when she expresses, probably because you've repressed a lot of expression in your own
Whoa.
being. So your own ability to go in and like get comfortable with all of those dark caves that we fear to enter, like our anger, our sadness, our shame, our rage, our desire to take, our sex, like both the light version of sex and the dark version of sex, like getting comfortable with all of those things within yourself allow you to be with the amazing wide range of being that is a woman way easier. And ideally, when you're comfortable in that way, like you could be sitting in front of her and maybe you feel that lump in your throat and you don't have to deny it. Like you could just start crying, but it doesn't collapse you. The thing is that most men aren't comfortable with their own feminine. So it collapses them. They reject it. They avoid it. They don't be seen in it. But ideally you get stability in your own being enough that you could bawl in front of her, but like not lose any of those things, not lose your stillness, not lose your breath, not lose that awareness of the spaciousness between you.
And I found so much healing in allowing myself to express my emotions fully with women.
Yeah.
And that means like,
okay, but let me ask you this. What about men?
What about men?
Have you done that with men?
I would say yes, I have done it with men. I would say that at least some of my friends, I love them, but it's like there's a sort of, I guess, a lack of practice with holding people in emotional experience where you can see they're just like, what do I do? Like, bro, you need a hug or like, you know what I mean? Or they're just kind of like holding space.
Yeah.
But some men are better than others. Let's put it like that. I would love to. So, dude, I've been like shown all of these men's groups for so long. People are like, dude, you need to start a men's group. And I'm like, dude, I've never done one. Yeah. And the thing is, I wanna experience that. I'm gonna guess this is a theory, and then I'm just pulling it out of my ass right now, that I've been avoiding that actually because of there's some sort of deep, unseen, but felt wound there. And again, I would relate it, and I love my brother, he's a great guy. But just like, you know, older brother, when you're fucking 9 years old, is gonna pick on you, gonna talk shit about you. It's just but like when you're that young, again, there's no escape. You're in the family system. You just absorb it. And it's just, it hurts. And a part of me is like, bro, I'm so good on that. And I can express those emotions to some people. And I found it to be really, honestly, more vulnerable for me at this point to express it with men. Because I'm not sure, like, are they gonna think I'm a bitch? You know, like,
we've got all kinds of conditioning that tell us this isn't safe, which in other words says, like, we're not comfortable with that part of our being, which women can feel. It, like they sense where our fears are, where our, like, they are constantly, they could tell you like, that guy's holding tension in his belly, that guy's not breathing, that guy's trying to fuck me. Like they could tell you all kinds of things about who you are. And so for most men, they're just like you, they're just like me. Like I'm so grateful for those. Like with my first teacher, we would spend entire days sitting in a circle. We'd have like 9 guys, 10 guys in a circle, and we would spend however much time was required with each man. And we would just go like, okay, what do you got? Like, what's here for you? And she's just on display in front of everybody for 2 hours, like one person at a time. And we would, you know, it'd go into, Zod is such a brilliant guy at, like finding what wants to happen. So this guy might start with something that's like totally in one direction, and then 30 minutes later he's bawling on the ground, like talking to his grandfather, like healing generations, being seen in like a deep process by other men. And I would watch guys totally transform who they were because they never got that. They were never held by anybody except for maybe their mom or themselves or their girlfriends.
That's bringing to mind a memory I had with my dad. And it's so beautiful, actually, about being held by the masculine. So part of the trauma I had when I was in high school, and this shit still kind of hurts, honestly. Like, I've talked about it so much, but it still hurts. I was so like infatuated with this girl, you know, first high school crush. And she's kind of leading me on for like years. And finally I'm like, all right, I'm gonna ask her to prom. Like, I think she likes me. She was like, we were always hanging out, but then like she would always be doing shit. So I was like, what's the dynamic here? I don't know. And I asked her out to prom. She said yes. we pull up to the prom party afterwards, chilling for maybe like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something. And I look over and she's making out with my friend from the football team. And not one of my friends had my back. Nobody. No one said anything to me. I just dip. I go home. I go to my basement and I am sobbing. Like I'm just drunk, 16 years old, sobbing in my basement. My dad, again, is always working. So he was upstairs working. And he came downstairs and he heard me from upstairs, came into the basement, and he didn't say a word the whole time. And he literally just held me. And I was sobbing. And like, I actually haven't even talked to him about that because I think I need to. Yeah. But there's still like this vulnerability hangover. Yeah. But I don't even know if he knew what happened. Yeah. It didn't matter to him. Yeah. He heard me and he just came down. He didn't say anything. Yeah. And I like, for me, I think that is part of that connection that I have with my dad now, which is so profound and deep. Yeah. And like me and my dad, we don't see eye to eye in everything. He's very different than I am. But we have that depth of connection where I feel like he held me in like probably one of the most emotionally fucked experiences of my life. Yeah. Like, it's just daggers in the heart. But at the same time, I have that wound from my fucking friends. No one said anything to me. What the fuck? You're not like, it doesn't make any sense to me. How? It still blows my mind. Like, what the fuck? Like, are we not boys? I guess not. Yeah. So it's like, I still have that wound as well. And that's something that I want to heal. And I feel that opening in different ways organically, but this is why I really do feel called to these men's group containers is because there's still that just like, I don't need it, I'm good. Yeah. And it's like, I think I feel that is due to a lot of that wounding. Yeah. Which is, again, it's from different masculine figures in my life. And just recognizing, again, I don't want to point blame because no one's given these skills. Yeah, exactly. No one's given these skills. And I feel blessed that my dad is honestly, like such a beautiful man. Like he cries to me about stuff. He opens up about his fears. He cries to my mom. Like he's so emotionally there. And he's also strong. Like not just physically, like he holds space for me and everyone in my family. And I feel so blessed in that light. But I do feel there's something in there. Yeah. And it's hard to see what it is. Yeah. But I need that, like you said, to be able to collapse into the masculine and not get fucking rejected, or that experience I had at prom, like humiliated. Yeah. And like that kind of emasculating feeling. And the fact that nobody held me in that, nobody. My dad did. And thank God. Yeah. Thank God. But like, trying to heal that. And then seeing, I'm so curious what that opens up for me in my relationships with the feminine. And am I still on this fuckboy wave? Because all my friends is like, dude, what are you gonna have that title forever? And I'm like, nah, but it fits right now. And I know in my bones I won't be a fuckboy forever. I mean, I don't even think I'm a fuckboy right now, if I'm being honest. But the title sells, so it's I think it's hitting for now. But again, I want to be able to trust men to fall into them instead of trying to fall into that feminine. And because I found like those experiences with women that I'm dating, eventually it feels like you're spinning in these wheels. Yes, you are. And nothing's changing. Yeah, and you're like, what do I do? Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I'm not going to comment on whether you're a fuckboy or not. I don't know you well enough to know. Right. But the guys that I do see that fall into that, pretty much every single one, I could say, do not have deep, vulnerable relationships with men. Yeah. Like they don't allow themselves, usually because of some wounding with men and the masculine, that they find that safety, they find that confidence with women. And where there are wounds, there's opportunities. Like where you are afraid to go, there's a massive treasure chest of gold for your growth waiting for you. And I've just seen it over and over again that for those kinds of guys, it's getting right with trusting men again, being trusted by men, letting themselves fall apart, collapse, express the deep wounding that they so often have. It's very healing. And women aren't going to do it. They're just not. Like if you try and do that with women, you will make her your girlfriend, you'll make her your therapist, you'll make her your roommate, and then she becomes nothing. And that's not a very masculine, manly thing to do. And it's not a great look when you're trying to live in those polarized relationships. And I do want to touch on polarization. Yeah. And what that means to you, especially in relationships. Yeah.
let's do it. Well, everything that we've talked about so far would contribute to a man's ability to like be naturally polarizing in his being, like having his life in order, having his emotions in order, having his like having a deeper connection to consciousness, to spirit, to something greater than himself would create it puts him in touch with something deeper, which usually is his masculine, which creates polarity. But there is, again, like I said before, a man has 3 tools in any moment, right? He has his body, his breath, and his awareness. And those are the things that he could start to learn, either create polarity or detract from it. So, for example, if a man's holding his breath, holding your breath is usually a sign that you're not safe. Right? Like when you see a tiger in the wild,
fight or flight.
Yeah. You're not going to like take a nice deep breath in, right? You're going to freeze up or you're going to like flee. You're going to run away. Exactly.
Right.
And so when a big part of this is like nervous system cleaning, like at every man's core, usually, not always. Some men have a more feminine core, and that's great. Or like what I'm speaking to you right now is more in heteronormative terms, but they could be applied no matter, like masculine and feminine is not gender attached. Exactly. So when a man starts to learn, like, okay, every time I'm with a woman, I hold my breath. That's a pattern that he's practicing over and over again, which is communicating certain things. So if a man were just to start to, okay, when I'm with my woman or a woman, I'm on a date or whatever, all I'm going to do is just kind of in the background, start to focus on breathing more deeply. And then I'm going to take 2 breaths and I'm going to forget. And then, all right, this is my intention. I'm going to breathe. If you were to start to do that, first of all, he would start to notice. Well, she would start to notice right away. She like totally. The matrix would start to shift. A little bit, like the coding would start to shift.
Tension starts to loosen.
But also deepen.
Exactly.
Also deepen.
In psychotherapy, I learned there's a notion of exchange. Where especially in a one-on-one kind of dynamic, you're feeling their energy. Like you can't not. And you can feel like a lump in your throat. Maybe it's because they want to cry. Or you notice I feel angry out of nowhere. Maybe because they also feel that. So when we can regulate our nervous system, like they also become more calm. And if you're on a date with somebody, like they're probably a little bit nervous too.
Exactly.
You know? So can I hold space for both my experience and theirs?
And your breath is like the perfect way to get you there.
Absolutely.
Particularly if you can breathe deeper into your body. Your belly. Right. So if you're sitting there like holding your breath and thinking, all of your energy is up here. Right. So you will force her to respond to that. The feminine is always responding to things because it's so feeling based. And so if you're breathing deep into your belly, and then on top of that, you keep your spine relatively straight.
Always.
It's the way. So this is the thing about meditation and how it's really like learning to have a deep relationship is doing those things that you learn in meditation for men in particular. Within a date, within sex, within an emotional conversation. That is the thing that will have you be most at home and then allow your partner to most relax into whatever is most at home for her.
Beautiful. And I have always said this, and I'm sure you know this. It's like when we can hold that space, we have to hold that space for ourselves first. Like hold that
and be held by men. I'm gonna keep saying it.
I know it's true. Exactly. I become, and it's part of this avoidant attachment style, which is just I want to just do it all myself.
You can't.
I just don't trust. I know I can't.
That's the thing.
That's what I figured out. I know I can't do it, but then it's like, okay, I guess I gotta do this. Fuck. Okay. And I will be doing this hopefully within the next month. I know like 3 men's groups going on. I'm like, I just need to just step into that. So, but then when we can hold that space for ourselves and, allow whatever the anxiety, is this going well? Like, am I doing this right? Hold it all. And then hold that for the other person too. Then the feminine can just like relax and open. And there's this like blooming that happens. And I saw one of your videos that I loved, which I forget exactly the words you used, but your woman's ability to open is on you.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
is that related to your ability to, again, just hold space to,
Yeah. Well, it's related to all these things. Like,
yeah,
if I'm a mess and I am like totally out of integrity in my life, I don't address any of the wounds in my own body and heart, like my woman is not going to feel like opening around me. She's going to have to feel like she holds me all the time, or she has to take care of me, or she has to be in charge. Like she's going to, and one way to say it is be in her masculine a lot more.
Not very polarized.
Which is not very polar. Like most women feel more at home in their feminine, which is a sort of an active receptivity to the moment. And most men feel more at home in the masculine, which is a sort of a relaxing into consciousness in the moment.
And what this topic of polarity makes me think of is something that I learned in this book, specifically actually on tantric sex, which was the notion of the masculine and the feminine bodies themselves are like a battery. Yeah. So in a sense, you could say the masculine energy needs to be polarized to a certain extent so that the feminine can be polarized to a certain extent so that there can be that flow of energy and electricity.
Which is usually why the first 3 months of a relationship are great. Because you've been charging up, not with each other. You come together, you're all supercharged. It's like flames and fire and electricity. And then what do? You unconsciously depolarize each other. You unconsciously rub up against each other in all these ways. And it's so subtle, man. It's like, it could be like what you choose to point out in the moment, like what you bring up, how you touch her, how she touches you, how often you sleep together, how often you take space, like all these things you are either consciously creating a deep level of polarity and intimacy and attraction, or you are unconsciously pulling away from that.
Yes. And in hindsight, my last, very intensely passionate relationship, that was a relationship where I just moved to Boulder. I didn't know anybody. And it was just me and her. And all of a sudden, everything's kind of fucked with her and I. And I think in hindsight, what if I had a group of specifically men that I could lean on? Be like, here's what's going on. Like, and just shoot the shit, and also be able to rely on each other to build that kind of masculine pull together, where then she can be more feminine. I'm just naturally turned on to people, ladies that are more feminine. So then it's like, then we just can maintain this like high energy kind of experience together.
Yeah. You know what's not polarizing is trying to deal with emotional conflict.
No, it's very much, it has to be just less polarized, right?
It just does. And it's not bad. So the thing is, like, it's not that, like you're going to have to work out emotional issues in your relationship. Not every moment is going to be this like deep, rich, attractive thing. But if you're not cognizant of it over time, all of the charge within you will be gone, and you will fall usually to your habits. Like you will fall to your patterns, which again is usually women taking up more of the masculine and men identifying more with the feminine.
Totally. And that's the thing for me is like when I'm in the practice really of connecting with women, there's like a part of me that has a difficult time, relatively speaking, coming back to that more masculine spaciousness, where it's like, that's where I think if I didn't have my meditation practice, I would legitimately turn into like an actual fuckboy, because then it's like I'm just looking to the feminine to keep meeting those needs.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank God I have this spiritual practice and like my ability to just be with myself. This is one of the benefits of a heavy avoidant attachment style, is I can just come back to that spaciousness and in that allow for the polarity to deepen. Here, can we do something about this dog?
Yeah, let us.
Should we like she wants attention. Let's mark this to cut it out. Yeah. Cool.
We cannot give her that attention right now.
Well, no, I know, right? I could also just hold her. That would be actually kind of adorable. Should I do it? Okay. Let's do it for the podcast. Okay. Oh, little baby.
Who is this?
This puppy? Is Momo.
Okay.
This is Momo. Yovel's little pup. Oh, Momo, here, come here. All right, I'm gonna pick her up. Oh no, she's good. She's good. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is adorable. All right. So I want to leave you with the last word, and I want to ask you about men and intimate relationships. And what is one thing that could really help people listening right now to start leaning into that more masculine, polarized form of themselves?
Well, I think there's a few takeaways from today. I mean, I think having some kind of sitting practice would really serve men if they don't already. That would just look like, starting small, like 5 minutes, set a timer, sit. And as you sit, make the intention not to move.
Yeah.
Just sit there in stillness. No matter what happens, like you're not going to die in 5 minutes. If you do, you'll be the first one.
Yeah, exactly.
Or it'll be from unrelated issues. Please don't sue me.
Yeah.
So sitting would be a really beautiful way that men could just start to get in touch with. 5 minutes is really not enough, but it's a good place to start. It takes good meditators 10 minutes to just like find stillness.
Just enter into meditation.
Yeah, exactly. But while you're sitting there, like practicing just being aware of your breath. If you do that for 5 minutes once a day, and you haven't been doing that, that is 5 minutes better spent than you've been spending your whole life. And you're training your body to be able to deal with the world, with women, with the challenges that come with it in a good way. So that's something that I think men should really take away from this. Becoming more cognizant about the patterns that they're perpetuating in their relationships. Like how are you
what are some common unskillful patterns that people tend to engage in, or specifically men tend to engage in a relationship?
Well, there are all kinds. Like if you're just spending time around your partner and you're not aware of the kinds of things that I help people become aware of, you're probably depolarizing your relationship. Yeah. Like if you're just on your phone around her, you're actively depolarizing your relationship. So it's as subtle as that. Now that might not be realistic for everybody. More obvious ones are like not structuring their time to create connection and intimacy.
Totally.
Like they just leave their days open to whatever. They let her decide what they do all the time. She makes all the plans. Like that video I was saying, like the men are responsible for how open and radiant their partner is. That involves structuring your time.
Totally. And it makes me think, the whole thing about men have to plan the date. They got to pick the spot to eat. They got to, make a lot of choices.
It's not a gotta. It's that if you do that and you allow yourself that permission and relax into that, it has an effect.
Totally.
It has an impact, right? Like if your partner goes, what do you want for dinner? And you go, oh, I don't know. What do you want? It's not the worst thing in the world, but if you do that all the time, what you're doing is she's saying like, do you want to lead us? And you go, no, you should lead us. Right. And she's going to go, oh, okay, I'll lead us again for the 1,000th time.
And it makes me think like there's definitely a balance here, because it's like if I go out to eat, I pick the restaurant, I pick the time, we go out there, and then I order for my girl. It's like, where's the line?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean? So again, you have to find the thing that serves everybody. This is not about being some kind of way.
And it depends on the person, right?
100%. It depends on you. It depends on them. It's not about I'm a man, I have to do this. To me, it's like you get to start to why I talk about what I talk about is most men never even thought about these things. So becoming aware of them, they can go like, oh, okay, actually the next time she asks me where I want to eat, I'm going to check in and see what I actually want. And then I'm going to lead us there. Right. Like that's a revolutionary act for a lot of men. Yeah. But it doesn't mean that he has to, okay, I'm the man. I got to pick where we eat. I got to pay for us. I got to choose what she eats. I got to do this, that, and the other thing. What my practice is to notice, like to do something, to take on some practice or some act or some commitment, some intention, and then notice the impact.
Yes. Exactly.
Notice the impact. Oh, when I said, you know what, let's go out for Chinese tonight, she sighed and said like, oh, that sounds nice. Yeah. And then I'll go, okay, like there was an impact that was positive in that direction.
And I'm noting with you, like that's such a high level of awareness to actually even have. Yeah. And that's where again, meditation. Slow down the mind so that we can start to see things clearly. Yeah. And then it's like life is just teaching you, and you're not caught up in, oh, am I doing it right? And then there's a story operating and you miss all the necessary data.
If you're thinking, am I doing it right? Or I'm doing it wrong? You're just thinking about yourself.
Totally.
Which means that you're not in connection. When you're in connection, you're basically thoughtless.
Yeah.
Like when you're in real deep intimacy, there's no, your thoughts are just random occurrences.
Yeah.
You don't actually,
they don't take up any space.
No, they're like clouds.
Yeah.
And you don't take clouds all that seriously, you know, like
Right,
they're just, they come and go.
And it makes me think of like intimate, like physical, sex.
Yeah.
Like if you try to think, is this going well? Is my partner having a good time? That's a beautiful way to fuck it all up, bro.
Totally.
And it's again, so there's these deeper communications going on actually, between the resonances of the body.
It's always going on. Like communication is like 98% nonverbal.
Right.
And we're thinking it's the 2% of the words that she's saying.
Yeah.
Don't believe the words that she's saying. Listen to the things that are happening underneath.
And there's something really like profound and deep about that. Just in our culture, how we get stuck again, like you said, from the neck up.
Yeah.
We live in these heady narratives.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing that seems real.
Yeah.
And again, so much can open up when we enter into the wisdom of the body, especially in, obviously sexual experiences, but also just deep, profound truths about life and death and ourselves. They're held in the body. But also that's where the pain is.
Exactly.
And as Marcus Aurelius said, I think we've already said this in the podcast, the obstacle is the way.
Yeah.
When I can learn to hold that within myself, and what you're opening me up to is to have other people help you to hold that too. And it's so beautiful that we actually had this podcast today, because this has been something that's on my mind and you just put it into words so well. It's like, I feel like so relatively equipped to hold myself, but there's levels to this. And some things I completely understand would break me.
Yeah.
And that I need support especially from men. Like
we weren't designed to hold ourselves, bro.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like that's not how it's supposed to be.
But the world, I mean, again, this is not an excuse, but the world is fucking painful.
Oh,
in 2025, growing up in 2020.
Encourages us. Like we've all been set up to think that if we aren't able to hold ourselves, we're weak.
Right.
We're not enough. We're fucked. We're stupid. We should be ashamed. And it's actually the exact opposite. Like if we actually have the courage and the willingness and the fortitude to say like, actually, I don't have the capacity to hold myself in this. I'm gonna step in to be held by other people, particularly men that I trust or that I respect. Man, so much changes. And I could almost, this image came to me of it spreading like a wave, where the more men that feel held, the more that they can hold space with other men when they need to be held. Exactly. And all of a sudden this wounding, like how that spreads like a disease, the healing can spread like a disease. That's what I was saying about the first man in generations to be initiated. It's like the men before me did some pretty fucked up things, but I can't blame them because they didn't have any men in their lives who were showing them the way. It's beyond blame. And so there is a sort of a necessary reparenting, refathering, reinitiating that needs to occur between men and other men. And like I was sitting here, I just finished up a retreat here in Boulder a few months ago, and I was driving with one of my assistants back home, and he was going, man, like there are so many amazing, beautiful, powerful, strong women here at this retreat, but also just like in the world. I just see them. They're like, they're everywhere. And where are the men? And what do we do about that? And so many of them just settle in relationship with men that aren't really serving them, aren't really meeting them. And it dawned on me, like the thing to do is to initiate the men, to work with the men, to train the men. Like that is the only answer, is to have men who are initiated into a certain level of depth, honesty, vulnerability, the truth, the soul. That's how you change relationships. That's how you change the world. Yeah, exactly. And I see so many men, or so many women actually, that show up in their authentic feminine, but then the men can't match that in the authentic masculine, and something's missing, and I feel bad for them. Like one of my friends was like I feel like guys in Boulder like don't ask me out. Like she's from Miami, and it's a different culture obviously than Boulder, and she's like, one of these guys was actually like, why don't you make a move? And I'm like,
bro, no, what a like.
Yeah, but that's the
completely-
thing is that's the over feminization. Like
Exactly.
men haven't been allowed to have needs, to express what they want. Like it's
Yeah.
bad. Men think it's bad to go and approach the woman and say like, "You're beautiful. I'd love to take you out on a date." Like he thinks he'd be hurting her in some way in this day and age.
So, if anything was satanic, it'd be that. If you don't want to tell this beautiful flower of a being that she's gorgeous, well, I'm like speechless. It's not the way. Of course,
I know, but it's not his fault. That's the thing. Is like
Exactly.
culturally, he's been conditioned to, in so many ways, to not bring his needs forward, to not make his desires known, to not take action and to guide the moment or her or his life.
And the question is, what could the world look like if we all knew how to hold each other? And that's what sort of gets me off. It's like there's just so much hope there. There's so much beauty there. And I mean, we'll have to wrap up in a minute because I gotta see clients. But again, I think heaven on earth is not that far away, and it starts by going closer to the pain. And learning how to hold that. And for me, I always teach within ourselves. And I think there's a beauty in that. Like that's the individual path, right? And then we have to honor that. But then we have to also open up to the collective path. And this healing that we're experiencing right now in this world is collective healing. Yeah. You know?
Well, it starts with two in a relationship.
Yeah. All right, my man, Alan McGrath. Isabel, thank you so much for coming on. This was like one of my favorite conversations thus far. Wow, and do you want to plug anything that you're doing, some retreats going on?
Sure. I've got a retreat happening here in Boulder in January, end of January. It's a co-ed retreat. We'll be training you in the skills of polarity and intimacy, the things we've been talking about today. There's a very real practice that people can learn and get good at. So we have that. And then I have, for those men who are either interested in getting into men's work, into a men's group, or also like want to learn how to lead other men in this kind of work, I have my company 13 Pines. We run retreats, we have programs, and we have a facilitator training coming up in January for those guys who want to both be held in their own sort of initiation into mentorship and also learn how to skillfully hold other men.
Do you need experience in men's groups in order to do that?
No, not necessarily.
I might be doing that with you.
Cool.
That would be cool. All right, Alan, my man. Thank you again so much. This was one of my favorite combos.
Appreciate it.